Hey Procrastinators, today I'm here with a Use It Up or Dig It Out challenge from Courtney's Card Making Hops group on Facebook. And I am starting here with an 8x10 Gelli Arts gel printing plate. And I've got some acrylic paints. These are from Art C. I bought them at Michael's. They are ultra chalk paints, and I am using turquoise, blue, white, and gray. And I'm just spreading them out here with my brayer to get a thin coat. And then once I've got that, I am going to use a Neat and Tangled Modern Triangles stencil. It happens to be one of my favorite stencils lately. And I actually made a bunch of prints with this gel plate, but I am only going to show you the ones that I used this stencil with. I made several. When I used the stencil here, the right impression, not the negative, whatever you want to call it, the positive impression. So I'm going to use like pieces of it here with the positive, and then I will take one piece of cardstock and do the negative impression. So I'm just going to kind of like piece it here. I didn't want to like overlap. I'm kind of strange when I use my Gelli plate. I don't know. I'm not the typical mixed media artist. I don't layer up a whole bunch of layers and get real messy with it. I don't know. I'm kind of strange. I'm also one of those people that when they eat, I don't mix my food, so I guess I don't really mix my paints either. I don't know. I'm kind of weird like that. So I'm just gonna take some few impressions here with some scrap pieces of paper. The paper I'm using is from Hobby Lobby. It's their heavyweight paper. I just use any thick kind of heavyweight cheap cardstock. That's what I use for my gel prints. So now that I've got all the prints here, I'm just going to take the negative impression and burnish it down real good. And then for this impression, I do let the paint dry completely before I peel this off the press to try to, well, this is sped up, but I probably cut the drying out too. But anyway, I let it dry completely before I peel it off the press to try to get all the paint off of it. So now we're going to make our first card. And I did make 4 cards, but I'm only showing you the process of 2 because they're repetitive. So I've got the wreath builder out here, and a Concord and Knight stamp set, the geometric stamp set. So the reason why I chose the gel plate is because I got it for Christmas, the 8x10 size. I had a smaller one, it was 5x7, I believe, and I hadn't used it yet, so that was part of my use it up or dig it out. And then also this Concord and Ninth set was part of my use it up or dig it out. I got it in a Black Friday grab bag, and I hadn't used this stamp set yet. So I'm going to make some geometric shapes here. I will speed right on through this pretty quickly. So I'm just stamping them, and then I'm masking them off to make a kind of a strange geometric shape, I guess. I don't know. I was just kind of playing. So the triangles are going to be stacked one on top of the other because we are masking here. And then I will go in with a smaller triangle and stamp those in between each of the bigger triangles. So because we have them masked, they will lie behind the bigger triangles because you want to stamp what you want in front first with masking. So these are going to lie behind the triangles. And then I will come in with the stamp set has a like fill-in stamp sets. You can either do solid or stripes. And I'm going to do the stripes on this one. So I'm going to do the smaller triangles with some stripes. And so you'll see that here in a minute. I will line up the striped, there it is, the striped one, and I'm going to fill those in with some stripes. And I used some Stampin' Up Marina Mist for the stripes. And it didn't quite match the blue that I used on the background quite as well as I was hoping. And I do have this swatched out, but I was too lazy to bring the background up to my swatch apparently. So it didn't quite match as quite as well as I was hoping, but I will kind of explain how I fixed that a little later, or attempted to fix it. I don't know. You'll let me know if you think it was fixed. So there's my stripes. And then we're going to pull off all the masks. And I was kind of a dork and didn't do it on camera, so you don't get to see the amazing mask pulling. But there's my funny little geometric shape that I built. And then I took it over to my scan and cut, and I cut it out. And in order to get the scan and cut to cut this out, oh no, I lie, I didn't take it to the scan and cut yet. Yeah, I lied. I do that often. So in the stamp set, it had a couple sentiments. And so for this one, I chose thank you. But it was all on one line. So to make that fit in that tiny little square in the middle, I just, I masked off the U of thank you and put Versamark on it, and then pulled my tape off. And then I cleaned my stamp and put the U underneath the thank you, masked off the thank, and stamped the U. So we're just doing that, and then I'm going to emboss that in silver embossing powder. So what I was saying about the geometric shape, anyway, to make my scan and cut this out properly, I did have to go over the over some of the lines to connect them because of the masking. They didn't all connect properly. So I did trace over some of the lines with a fine tip pen and get that to cut properly. Just kind of connect all the lines together. Then I popped it up on some foam tape and applied it to my card. And then as a finishing touch, because I did not like the way that the blues didn't match, so just to kind of tie that all in, I used some Nuvo drops in dazzling, what was the color? Dazzling blue glitter drops. And then to tie the other colors in, I kind of picked a couple other crystal drops. I did aqua plains and velvet sage, and I kind of regretted the velvet sage because they were a little bit more green than I thought they would be. I should have probably looked at the name. I just kind of looked at the color through the bottle. That was kind of a mistake. Oh, so I guess I forgot I did put a sentiment on the inside, of course. So I did pick You're a Treat. That is also another sentiment from the same stamp set from Concord and Ninth. So here's the Nuvo drops. So I was trying to kind of tie in the two different colors that I had here. There's the dazzling blue. And then again, I will put in the aqua plains and the velvet sage. And again, the velvet sage was not what I should have put on there, but I should have just stopped at the aqua plains. So this one is the velvet sage. That was a mistake. I put it on there and I'm like, well, I should not have done that. I probably should have scraped it off, but I've never scraped off Nuvo drops before, and I'm just afraid that I'm going to smear them all over the card instead of scraping them off. But so this is where I brought in the aqua plains. I was like, yeah, that's a much better fit. So then I did a second card that was very similar to this. I did a little bit different geometric pattern with it, and I used the solid stamp instead of the striped stamp. So I'm just going to show you the finished card pictures of that, and I did a birthday theme instead of a thank you theme. So here's the birthday one, and I left off the velvet sage on this one. I learned my lesson, and I used the MFT Big Birthday greeting stamp set for that. So now we're going to move on to my second card design that I used with this pattern. And for this one, I did use the Concord and Ninth geometric, oh no, I didn't, I lie. For this one, I used the Altenew pattern power stamp. So I just, I cut my panel at an angle from the printing, the gel printing. And then so I laid it across my panel, and then I used the pattern power stamp to stamp it just above that angle cut, so this would peek out. And then I use the Wow Oasis embossing powder to emboss the first stamp, and then I'm doing the second stamp in Under the Sea glitter embossing powder, and this is from a Wow Trios set. And I don't usually get along with glitter embossing powders so well, but this did pretty well. So I'm just going to finish out the pattern here from the Pattern Power stamp. And I'm using the same two glitter embossing powders, just switching back and forth here. And I thought that this was a really pretty combination of embossing powders, and I liked how it just peeked out from my print when I put the card all together. And I'm really loving that Oasis color. It's very pretty, especially with this cardstock that I chose. I believe we're just on our last stamping here. We're gonna throw on some more embossing powder and finish that up. All right, there it is. And look at all that glitter and sparkle. And there it is, peeking out from my panel. And then I took the Tonic Craft Kit number 22, and it has a Sending Hugs die with the shadow. And I cut the Sending Hugs out of the same cardstock that I used for that back panel. And that is from Paper Accents. It's a pale aqua 100-pound cardstock. I cut the Sending Hugs twice. I stacked them up, and then I used vellum to use as the shadow. And so I'm just going to glue this panel straight to my Nina 110-pound card base. And then I'm going to pop up that gel printed panel with some foam tape. And as I lie. I'm going to do the inside first. Geez, I am just lying all over the place today. So I used the Simon Says Stamp You Matter stamp set. And this is a new one, so this isn't really a dig it up kind of thing. This is something I just got in because it's a brand new stamp set that just came out. But the Pattern Power stamp set was something that that I've had in my stash for quite a while and haven't really used. So that was part of the dig it up theme of this video. But I didn't want this You Matter to become one of those dig it up here in a few months, so I did use that. So I'm taking that triangle stamp set that I used for my print, or stencil, the modern triangle stencil, and I'm just going to ink blend very lightly up here in the top corner and just kind of fade it out towards the bottom. And then I did bring in weathered wood as well. The first one's Broken China. And I'm going to bring in some weathered wood as well, just for that, just to kind of match the gray that I brought in with the gel printing. I mean, I know weathered wood's kind of a blue gray, but I didn't want it to be completely gray and kind of make my colors look gross. So there's the inside. I thought that turned out really pretty. And then I'm just going to pop up my front panel here. Now I'm going to pop it up. So I'm not lying this time. I really am. I just wanted to figure out where my sentiment was going to go first. So we're going to pop that up with my X-Fasten foam tape. And I did make two of these cards. These ones were very similar, just the angle on the front wasn't exactly the same. And that's just because I was lazy and didn't want to figure out the exact same angles. So I just chopped them off. However they landed in my paper trimmer, basically. I'm just going to glue on the Sending Hugs, and then I'm going to add some Nuvo Pure Sheen Sequins in Silver Rain. Well, I guess I'm going to add some shimmer first, but then we're going to add the sequins, I promise. And I fiddled with the sequins for a while. Does anybody else struggle with adding sequins? For some reason, I just have a heck of a time figuring out where the heck I'm going to put the darn sequins. I don't know what it is with sequins. I just struggle with them. As you can see here, I moved them so many times. So many times. But when I did finally get them where I wanted them, I glued them down, and then I used some Nuvo crystal drops in the Morning Dew just to fill in the centers. And then that pretty much finishes off the card. And like I said, the second one of this one was pretty much exactly the same, just the front panel was cut at a different angle. So that finishes off. I hope that you enjoyed the cards today, and the next person in the hop will be in my description box below. And as always, have a great day.